All right, this is the Brian and Kindra Show.
Yep.
Yes, this is
June
27th.
27th.
So it's the last week of June.
Yep.
Guess what season it is?
June. See, it's Hallie's birthday, Cecily's birthday season.
Oh my gosh, you have all these birthdays too?
See, yeah. It's let me see.
Is that why you have all the
Let me count what season it is. I still have the fingers. They're well done.
Well done.
Well done.
Yeah, should they be looked at?
I had a nurse look at them, and she
good.
says, "Oh my gosh, you need," and she listed off 5 things, and keep them covered, put the silver blah-de-blah stuff on it. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay, cool. So it's fireworks season.
Yeah, so fire safety.
Yeah.
Don't
Go
hold the
ahead,
fireworks.
tell us how this goes.
Well, it was a fun story. So I had like 5 different kinds of fuses, and we had a whole bunch of people in my house, and I was like, hey, these are different size, they burn different rates, and I don't have the packaging still, so I was like, by memory, hey, I think this one's like a 2-second fuse, which means it burns 2 seconds per inch, and then this one's like a 1 second per inch, and this one's like 4 seconds per a foot or something. And then so I was lighting them, and we was counting and just kind of re-verifying. And then I had this one fuse, and I was like, hey, trainer, is this that fast fuse? Like, it's like super fast. And so I cut it a little bit longer, like 18 inches, thinking I could light it and, just count and drop. So after we got to talking just a second, I was like, it took me a minute or two to get it lit. Thank the Lord it didn't light off of Luis's cigar, because that would have been really bad. So once I got it lit out of the wind next to my stomach, 18 inches of fuse goes off in less than a second.
Are you serious? Is that really how it's designed, or was it malfunctioning?
No, that's how it gets designed.
Oh my gosh.
Ruined my shirt.
Yeah.
Melted it.
Was that your 4th of July shirt?
It is now my new 4th of July.
Crop top?
If he's running. Yes, exactly what it is. Yeah.
Sorry about that visual, guys.
It was bad. It was bad. It went right off so fast. I couldn't let go of it fast enough. So.
Oh my. Okay, I didn't realize all that was
Burnt
happening.
the fire out of myself.
Because that was all during the big wind.
Yeah, it was. So this happened.
That was awesome.
This happened about 6:30.
Oh, that had already happened before the big wind.
Yeah, 6:30. And I was dealing with, that's why I finally left, is because I couldn't get my hand off fire. I mean, it was.
I see.
What time were you there? 10? 9:30?
I don't usually make it till 10, but
so
maybe.
Whatever time it was, I was like, I can't. I don't know what to do. My hand is still on fire, and I have it on ice and water and all this different stuff, and said, I'm going to have to cut my hand off because, I'm not going to sleep like this.
Yeah, that makes sense. You should have done that.
And so we have, Shane DeLong with his safety hat on. He's like, hey, I've got a burn kit at the house. I'm like, we're going to your house. We did that. And Luis Baez is like, hey, I've got a burn kit at my house. I'm like, great. So he shows up. He comes out about about midnight. I'm still fighting this.
Oh.
Luis shows up at midnight and says, hey, I found this stuff. Here's what you need. And it's a spray. I sprayed it on my hands, and it went away.
Really?
It's like, this is awesome.
That's wonderful.
So it was
Luis.
crazy. Yeah.
Man, he's like a master on the griller or whatever that
Holy
was.
smokes. He just keeps
Or
going
the
and
smoker,
going.
I guess, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Golly.
He cooked for a big party at Canton Lake. It's frustrating because he'll call me and say, hey, Brian, I cooked all this food. Can you come over and test it for me? I mean.
That's sad. I hate that he does that to you.
He hasn't called me today yet.
Can you share the wealth?
It's so much fun.
All right. So 4th of July.
Coming up.
I know that they're not. I love 4th of July. I love fireworks. I love all the things. I used to hate the hot part, but now I can handle that. Okay.
Yeah. In the pool.
But you guys have Woodward Fireworks,
yes.
right? Your daughter manages that, runs that.
Yep.
So everybody needs to make sure they go get the fireworks because they've got time. It's June 27th, excuse me.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season since 4th of July is on a Thursday. I would love to know when people are actually going to be shooting their fireworks.
So since it's on a Thursday, can she stay open until Saturday so people can have fun
you
still?
can go stay them to the 7th.
Oh, Wonderful.
So
I didn't know.
I mean, so my theory is since it's on a Thursday,
We're going to have fireworks Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night.
I was thinking Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. That's what I was thinking.
Start now?
I mean, start the Wednesday before the 4th.
Right now?
Because if you have, you could start now. I mean, we did yesterday.
No, this is June 27th.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I mean, for everybody listening, this is June 27th.
So you could shoot fireworks like tomorrow night, start your weekend, and then you can do it Saturday night. And then, the 4th is on Thursday, so most people will start the night before the 4th, which is the 3rd.
Right.
And then on the 4th.
Yeah.
And then that's Friday. The next day, you might as well shoot on Friday too. And then if you have any leftovers, which you shouldn't, but if you do, come back on Saturday.
So there you go. We should have the 4th on Thursdays every year.
Yes. So,
all right. So tell us where Woodward Fireworks is located.
She is on a mile east of town, a mile west of town, and on Hanks Trail. She's got 3 stands in Woodward.
What's her hours?
A lot.
Is she there at like 8 in the morning? I'm just kidding. Surely she's not.
I'm not sure. I used to work the 8.
That's when I would want to work.
I worked the morning shift is what I used to do, and I'd go set fireworks up all morning, and then they'd show up about noon and run it till like 10. She also has one in Hayesville, Kansas, and Wichita, Kansas.
Cool.
So if you're up there and around.
Buy your fireworks, Woodward Fireworks. Are they Woodward Fireworks in Kansas?
Bad Ash Fireworks.
I just wanted you to say that. All right, so here we are.
Yeah.
So it's the end of the first 6 months of 2024.
Yes.
And I don't know who all would really remember, because I know that y'all don't live this same crazy real estate life that we live. But we had kind of talked at the beginning of the year with what Brian's forecast would be, because interest rates had been rising. We had gotten so spoiled with those 2s and the 3s and even the 4s. So when things started hitting up to 5, 6, 7, we started panicking a little bit. And so you had done, and I probably should have went back and found that to remind you what you said. Do you know what you said back then?
It's going to go down.
You said it would go down. So did it?
Well, the prices haven't gone down very much.
What about interest rates?
Interest rates were not going down.
It's really stayed the
Which
same,
I predicted
hasn't
that.
it? Oh, well, that's what I meant. Interest rates. What did you predict with interest?
Well, as long as the inflation stays high, they have to stay high.
Right.
And so, and I see no end to the inflation. So I think I say no end. I can't imagine. I can't imagine they coming down much more than in the mid 6s. All the big guys keep predicting they'll get down in the 5s. I don't know if that's just an optimism ploy, but.
And I might be more negative, but I mean, I feel like the 6s would be like, wow, no complaints for me. 5s would be just a dream, in my opinion. But really, right now, I think we're still seeing solid 7s, aren't we?
So mortgage loans are a little bit different, but the I lost the words. The rate we follow. Mm-hmm. Is like right at 7% right now.
Okay.
So you can actually get a mortgage that's slightly lower than 7.
Okay.
Which we'll have to get into that later. So we've seen some people locking at 6.7, 6.5, but they're doing some buy downs and some other stuff like that. I got an email today that it'd be right at the top of the page. It says rates dropped below 7, and there were 6.99.
Oh, there you go.
So, and so. I think this is the new norm. I say norm, and we're still not a little higher than the average 30-year.
Right. I was really concerned that we would find the 8s, the 9s, maybe even a 10, which is terrifying. And so far, thank the Lord, we haven't seen that.
Commercial rates are still high.
Consistently.
I talked to a banker the other day, and he said their 5-year term commercial note is 10%.
There you go.
We have... got an email from a banker this morning, and we're working on refinancing a commercial property we purchased, and he's going to lock us in at 7.25. So there's some flexibility in your commercial mortgages due to local owned banks with local money, and then the big conglomerate banks. So
I want to go back to your commercial guy at 7.25. Is that somebody that you've done business with over and over and over and over?
We've done business with, yes. Yep.
And so is that why your rate is so good?
So the banks offer, so every now and then I think what happens is they get an excess number of deposits.
Okay.
And they need to loan it out.
Okay.
So they may be paying 3% on a CD or something, and they have this money. And if they're not loaning it out, it's just costing them.
Gotcha.
So they need to get it loaned out.
Sure.
And I think that's why they can do that. So they got the big chunk of money, and it's at 3 or 4, and they can loan it out, or 5, and they can loan it out at 7, and they're making 2 or 3% on somebody else's money. And I think that's the trick. Because we told him, how much money we had, how many loans we had that we could move into that loan. And he's like, we can cover that easy. And so they must have a bunch of money in the bank.
Okay. All right. So then the other part of your forecast was housing values. So you thought housing values would drop.
They have not,
But what are we seeing?
I think they're still hovering. They're still hovering around. They're still hovering. What's interesting in our statistics, we're going to jump right into it.
Get it. But I'm going to ask you more questions.
So from January, our prices, everything was down, and it was scary. It was kind of a doom and gloom.
It was.
The closed volume was down 78%. We went from, $2.5 million for the closed volume to less than $700,000 in January of this year. Then the average sales price dropped from 176 in 2023 to 139. The days on markets went up 10%. The average ask to sold ratio, which is an interesting number. So that's like if you had a $100,000 house, you had it listed for 100. In 2023, it sold for 89% of that, almost 90%. So a 10% negotiation rate, basically. In January, it was 81% of the asking price. So if you listed it for 100, it only brought 81,000.
Wow.
That was the average. So some people took a huge hickey, and
sure,
because some people got full price, some didn't.
Okay, I want to pause right there.
Okay.
I do think it's important to remember, because this is such a blanket stat.
Yes.
This could have been the highest priced house that had been on the market for 3 years, and there's one buyer every 3 years.
Yeah.
That could be partly why, right?
Yeah, part of that,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Moving on.
Well, some of that may be, that's why. So then April rolls around. Things look better. Our closed volume was only down 33%. The average days on the market actually went down year over year to date. So year to date, average sales price was only down 2% from 2023 over 2024 in April.
Okay.
Volume, though, was down 33%. So
as a number of homes sold.
The volume of homes sold. So in 2023, we had sold 9 million. 2024, we'd only sold 6 million.
And we're seeing that. We're seeing that in our personal sales.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Without a doubt.
Yep. We're down. I don't know what we are.
I think up until May, I was kind of sweating it.
Yes.
I'm still a little sweating it, but much more in May.
In the months of supply, we were up. So last year, 2023, we were rolling in the 2.4, which is a super healthy market. Mm-hmm. Actually, it's kind of more of a seller's market at that point.
Sure.
In 2024, it's almost 5 months of inventories, which means months of inventory is like saying, hey, if we sold everything that was on the market today, how long would it take to sell? We have 5 months of inventory. Okay,
but so it doesn't hardly make sense to me, because do you know how many houses we have active on the market in Woodward today?
45.
53. That's low.
Yes.
That is so low. What's healthy for us? 80s, 90s, 100?
75-ish.
Oh, I would have said 80. I always say 80. I think 80 is our healthy number.
Could be. It's hard to measure.
I know,
it depends on which way it's going.
We start panicking.
Yes.
Oh no, we have way too many houses on the market.
We get to panicking.
Yeah, we have 17 houses on the market. We show all of them every day.
Yes.
Because there's nothing to choose from. Okay, but at 53 houses on the market and 5 months of inventory, that almost sounds...
That means we just have, the only thing is we have less buyers and less sellers.
So why do you believe that that's the case?
Well, I think people are scared to sell, have nowhere to go. Mm-hmm. And I think buyers are hesitant, which I was reading an article about the elections and what it's going to do to affect the market. We're going to talk about that next week.
I know, I couldn't decide if we should talk about that today or next week, because I think that's part of it.
Those stats are, I would have not guessed any of those stats.
I don't believe them. My personal experience doesn't...
Which Northwest Oklahoma is different than everywhere else in the world. And I think that's why, because we're oil-based and wind energy-based and all that based. So I think our market change is different. But there's just not a whole bunch of people moving around in Woodward. In 2020, when interest got real cheap and we had 115 houses, everybody had options. And they'd be driving to the ball field like, oh, look at that house. And then 3 minutes later, we're selling a house because it didn't cost a bunch of money to move.
When I picked up my Tilly the other day from the dog groomer, she asked me that. She said, how are things going? I said, it's so weird. It's the weirdest market. I think this is a new market for me and you. I haven't seen one like this before.
Nope.
It's very, very strange. And I feel the other day, I know I said that you've been in real estate for 30 years. I bet we have.
If you count the first house I bought. I'm
still cracking up at myself because that was such a weird thing to say. My brain just has been so foggy lately. Okay. So between the two of us, well over 30 years. I think we're closer to 40 at this point, though.
I bought my first house 25 years ago.
But I mean selling, like really.
I sold mine. I'm just kidding.
Oh, my gosh. Sometimes you make me tired. Anyway, that was what the discussion that she and I were having. I said, well, I mean, things are selling. Yes. We've been so busy the last few weeks. Like, I mean, I keep trying to take off early and stay in late. So, I mean, we know that it's busy and we're seeing it. She said, well, I don't understand. Who's moving here? Well, it's not always that people are moving here, but we are actually doing a lot of relocation right now.
We got some relocation
and
stuff.
Not just out.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
So, okay, so what are you seeing from this? Like, what would you say to the community about, like, if you were to give like a three-sentence review on what our current market is, what it looks like, where we're going, what would you say?
So I think we're very steady, steadier than I anticipated us being.
Yes.
So the pessimistic in me thought we would drop a lot faster and more.
I think it's realism.
Is realism? I think the biggest caution I want to caution people is when I'm looking at these stats, the biggest thing that I'm seeing that's the red flag to me is the ask price versus the sold price ratio. So you're seeing, when you look at the listing market, you're like, oh, look, the market's going up because the prices of the houses keep going up.
The listing prices of the houses are going up.
But you go back and look at the sold prices. The sold prices are going down a little. Not a lot, but it looks bad because if you list a house for $155,000 and you sell it for $130,000, so when you're talking to your agent, your real estate agent, and you're discussing how I'm going to put my house on the market, you got to look all of the information. And you look at all of it.
Right.
So and that's how we do. Kindra and I do a great job at this. So we pull 3 comps that are listed, which is hard because we know when we look at our data sheet, we're like, what the heck? And then we pull 3 comps for the sold or more to verify our price. And there's such a huge difference between the listed value and the sold value. It's just skewing our market.
It's hard for me to even want to look at the listing comps right now because they are so far different than my sold comps.
Yes.
It's hard for me to even want to take my time to do that, if I'm being honest.
Right. And then I do numbers on the backside and be like, hey, I do the market statistics that show which direction our market's going, sold to list to sold ratio. So when we go to a listing presentation, we're like, hey, here, we know your next door neighbor is $160,000. And your other neighbor told you your house should be $170,000. And the guy down the street that sells hamburgers said your house is worth $180,000. Just because they're seeing these listed prices doesn't mean that's what they're bringing.
Right.
So we have to do we got to see the whole picture. So, so when we're doing our numbers, and we'll go one more time. We go through the numbers, we pull sold comps, listed comps, and then we study how many months of inventory we have, and we there's a percentage ratio base that says that if you have 1 to 2 months interest inventory, which means everything on the market was selling in 30 days or less, then you can actually price your house above the listing price. But we're at today 5 months inventory.
Right.
And so when you're at 5 months inventory, you need to lower it. You need to list 5 to 10% less than the average listed price. And that sounds like, well, good grief, he's won 150. I shouldn't put mine on. And we hear it every time. Well, we're going to go ahead and list. I know the neighbor's at 150. We would like to get 150. So we're going to list at 160 so we can negotiate down to 150. Well, if you list at 150, if you're going to list at 160, you're going to negotiate to 140. Right. It's just going to take longer to get there.
Right.
You need to get closer to the market. We believe our goal is to list your house to sell 30 to 60 days. Mm-hmm. Our average days on the market are, May. It says 35 is the average days. That's in May. Year over date is 69 days on the market, which is more accurate.
So May things have picked up. Well,
so May's picked up. There's been a lot of things move in May, April, May. So now last year was 100 days on the market. This year, 69 days on the market.
And I hate arguing with stats because I know that you really can't. But I also feel like numbers don't always give the whole picture. Like I know full well some of these that sold so quickly that brought this average down, like our Vicky Lane. Yep. I mean, there's not really very many buyers for the house of that caliber. Mm-hmm. And when they saw it, they were ready and the seller was ready too.
Right.
Like, I mean, I have laughed and laughed because my friend was the seller and I texted and I said, hey, Brian wants to show that. How quick can he get in? And she said, give me 30 minutes. And then she messaged in like 15 and said, okay, he's ready. And then you sold it that night. You had me right in the offer the next morning. We get it accepted by the next afternoon kind of a thing. And then almost at closing, she said, man, I'm glad I went ahead and went to the lake in my pajamas with the dog that night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know that this always shows the whole picture as to why the days on the market were so low.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I think that was it almost feels like a special month. Yeah. I'm interested to see what June's going to do.
Yeah, because I know, year over date, 69 days.
69 feels way more realistic.
Which is, when I pull my numbers for the last listing we did, it showed 60-something.
Yeah.
So it's pretty close. And then every price range is different. We have some price ranges when you do the number, they're like, wow, it's going to be 1,849 days to sell your house.
Gosh.
So you got to get a better price right.
Gosh.
So listing your house is not, this is not what we was going to talk about. Listing your house is not about guessing, looking at just the listing comps. There's a whole bunch of numbers that go into that so that you're not, obviously we've got some houses on the market that have been on a long time and we're frustrated. Like our numbers.
Without a doubt.
Our numbers don't prove it. Our numbers prove the value. The listing comps prove it. The sold comps prove the value. Everything's proving the value. Something's just not appealing to the buyers right now. And it's frustrating. So we feel like we know everything about everything in the real estate market. But we're still not perfect.
No, we're not. Yeah. Okay, I really thought we would have time to do a whole other fun trend thing, but I don't know if this is a whole show on its own or if we can knock this out in 5 minutes.
Whatever.
Well, I just want to know if you want to do that or if you want to, how much do you remember from your election page? Do you want to talk about that or do you want to talk about this?
Okay. Oh, I didn't study it all. What? I could probably, yes. Election stuff. Let's do it. I
want to go on the election thing because when I started real estate in Woodward in 2008 and I think that was an election year. Is that right? I think it should have been because it's a derivative of 4 or whatever.
Yes.
You say the words that maybe derivative might be the wrong word, Brian. You can use whatever math you want to.
Nope.
People know what I'm saying.
4, yes. Which is, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I remember that it was a little bit, we had kind of a crazy year that year. Like we were really, really booming. So I didn't notice it then. But the 2012, I must have noticed it because I remember in 2012 thinking, it's an election year. I remember it being weird last time too. Like for the first middle part of that year, people were not buying. And they were saying, well, I want to wait and see. Or they weren't selling. Maybe that was it. They were like, I want to wait and see what this election's going to do. And I remember thinking, what difference do you really think it's going to be?
You have to live.
Even if the guy that you don't, or woman that you don't want to win wins, it's still not going to affect us overnight. So let's go ahead and keep on living is what I thought.
Yeah.
But then, I just kept noticing it every single year. So this year I thought, it'll be a weird year because it's an election year. And I've said that to some people who kind of looked at me like I was crazy that I thought, well, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so that was my take. What's yours?
So I'm hearing people say, well, this election is going to turn things around or crash the market. And I'm like, well, think to really do that. Woodward election years are a little bit different because we're highly oil and gas based. And so sometimes if you get the right guy in or woman in, then say woman, we haven't had one yet, but.
I know, but I guess there's always that possibility. Maybe not this year, but.
Yeah. So I think those people.
I was trying to be cool, Brian.
Yeah, I know. And then you made me trip up thinking, okay. So depends on the way they are and the taxes they cut and the things they do can drive real estate, oil prices and stuff. So Oklahoma, and see, I'm not a high politician guy. I just want to sell houses. But the last election, a tax was imposed in Oklahoma, which hindered oil and gas, which has hindered our real estate market.
Right.
So people have moved to Texas because the oil market's there. It's awesome. So it does matter, and you would be shocked. So in Woodward, we're like a little island, so things affect us differently. I anticipate this not affecting our market very much. So according to the statistics, it said the biggest hindrance or the biggest derailment of the market, the biggest change in the market is in November, right at the election time.
I swear that's not what I have felt.
I know. And it's like everybody just...
feelings don't count.
They stop, yeah. It's like they stop doing anything in November to see what's going to happen. Well, the new guy didn't even take office till January.
Right.
And then, so why is November? Why does it matter in November?
It's also weird to me. I really don't understand. But I'm also not politically charged.
Yes, me neither.
And in fact, used to, I would ask my daughter, I need you to please give me a nutshell for everybody right now before I go vote.
As I'm walking out the door to go vote.
Yeah, because I really, really stink at it. But she's really good about, back then, right now I think that's kind of not her primary focus. But last few elections, she'd be like, okay, this person is da-da-da-da-da-da, and this person is da-da-da-da-da, and this person is da-da-da. And she really wouldn't cloud it. She 100% would be able to give me these facts, and I'd go, oh God, I'm going to feel dirty when I leave regardless.
Yeah. And I think you should, I think you should vote, definitely vote, go vote. It's hard to say my vote doesn't count. Yes. It's only one person, but it comes back to it's all of our opinions. And so I think everybody should vote. I have people that I trust and believe in, and I call them for their opinion. Hey, our morals and values are the same. We believe all the same things. We invest all the same times. Who are you using?
Right.
Who are you voting for, and why? And they, very open tell me, and then I go vote. So,
got it. Okay. Now we know who to call to tell me what to do this year. Just kidding. I'm trying. So, I'm going to try to pay attention. If not, I'm calling Gary Whitcomb. Let's be real.
So I really don't think it's. I'd say if you're going to buy a house, buy a house. If you're going to sell a house, sell a house. I don't think it's going to make that much difference in your decision.
Right. I think the real decision is that you have to just pay attention to what your budget is and what your finances are and what do you need in order to be fulfilled right now.
Yep.
Right? Yep. That's what we need. Look at your own future, not everybody else's.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Thanks for listening. Talking about statistics and numbers. It was fun.
Oh, yay.
So let's do this next time. This is Brian Cook, 580-334-2303.
And I'm Kindra Brown, 580-216-0090. And we will see you next time.